All right, cut the music. Welcome to Stars, Stripes, and Stress. Hoy, I was lied to. We were lied to. I don't know how else to say it. I think I'm going to work up to this rant and I'm not going to start off here. And I'm just going to toss it to you. Where should we start with this? Because I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be US versus Belgium. It could be anything. We're going to talk about the whole round of 16 here. But where should we start? This would be the third time in a row I've tossed it to you. Where should we start?
Right now, I'm just so upset with a lot of the VAR system and how it's being used. And it's just coming across game by game. And I don't want to hate on it like too much because there are cases where it was right and it did help. And I'm not even just saying this in the case of the US, but it's just that I don't see the consistency there for it yet. I also don't understand this whole like they're claiming there's a sensor in the ball now. That's like a new
I
thing
don't know
too.
that one. I don't know that one.
I mean, that's what decided the Croatia versus
You want to keep going back to that Portugal. You want
Portugal
to keep
game.
going back to the Croatia Portugal. That's
No,
not this. That was round of 32.
I don't care unless they release the technology and the results of that game. I am saying that that technology just needs to be thrown out the window. I don't like the use
Okay.
of it. But yeah, you don't even want to get me started on the rest of that.
Well, you're obviously 0 for 3 with how we're supposed to start these shows. This is 3 weeks in a row where we are recording this on what is today, Tuesday, July 7th, and Argentina just had a
I left that
ridiculous
for you.
comeback. And you're going to claim, I already know what you're going to claim, but I'll let you do it. That it was a little bit fraudulent. I'm trying, I'm going to take the words from you. I'm sure that's what you're going to claim. But man, that was
Vargentina, Vargentina, Vargentina.
all right, all right, all right. So actually, we can't do this. We can't do this. I'm trying to dance around this USA versus Belgium game, and let's get to it before we get to any of these other games. And before we get to that, the one place which we would have started if we would have won the game, and we're still going to start here now, is our commander in chief himself, Donnie T-Bone,
I thought they were gonna say
had
Tim
to.
Ream.
So, so he there was a report that the White House called the FIFA offices that came out this week. And then the next thing you know, the Balogun red card was suspended, which is just a weird way to put it. The terminology was weird to begin with. And so there was a day of just a little bit of vagueness. It was just people assumed it was Trump, but the report was White House calls FIFA. And then, like I said, our commander in chief, Donnie T-Bone himself, gets in front of the camera and does, gosh darn it, what he does best. And he just explains to the world what he did very simply. He said he called Johnny,
Yeah, I did. I spoke to Johnny.
and he knows sports.
I understand
Trump
sports
does.
really well.
And I
Really
don't know
well.
if you knew that, Hoy, but he reminded us that he knows
And I'm a
sports.
person that loves sports and was a
He
good
doesn't
athlete.
know red cards,
And he gave him a red card. I didn't know what that meant.
but he knows
And
sports.
that wasn't a
And that
foul.
wasn't a red card, and that this was an injustice.
I actually said, Johnny, we've got all these games. Each one is turning out to be a Super Bowl.
And he needs to play because we have 8 Super Bowls that are being played, and he needs to play.
You can't take your foot and properly place it on somebody
And so
else's
he
foot.
played. And I don't know what to do with any of this, but we're just gonna move on to the game now because Flo Balogun obviously played. Do you have anything on that? I mean,
I
what were
do.
your thoughts? What were your thoughts when you heard he was gonna play?
I just thought it was terrible. Not in terms of just, I mean, obviously there's the side of FIFA where this sets a weird precedence going forward. But it's also just that it put USA in a lose-lose position. It really put us in a position where if we win, people are going to argue about it. There's going to be that asterisk around it from the rest of the world, and they're going to say, "Well, this guy shouldn't have even played," especially if he scored. On top of that, uh, but then if we lose, then it sucks for us, and we're not in that elite class, and we lose. So it's like there's no winning for us there, and it just kind of sucked because it took out of that.
I totally felt the same way, and I would be lying to you though. I totally wrote something up. I was prepared for if we won to come on here and say, screw it, USA versus the world. Let's go. You know what I mean? Just kind of like jump on the bandwagon full tilt. But, I deleted that and that will never see the light of day. So we're good. Um, so okay, let's get to the game. And like I said, I was gonna work up to this, but watching this game, it was everybody's worst nightmare coming to life. Final score was 4-1. Obviously, everybody listening to this knows that. Um, right off the bat, we looked outmatched. Belgium had an opportunity that should have been a goal. It was like the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth minute, like right before their first goal. They had one where the guy just missed the ball right in front of the net, and it just went across the front of the net, and they didn't get anything on it. And then directly after that, they get a goal. So it was one of those. It's like, man, this is what we had been doing to other teams right off the bat, where we score in the first 10 minutes, and not only did they score in the first 10 minutes, they could have easily had two. Um, and it was one of those. We never looked comfortable. And I'm going to really harp on the fact that you know, I was trying to pump us up that we had stars. And I'm going to go even farther and say, not only did we not have any stars, we had zero leaders out there. Like, there was nobody out there that I don't even know, was playing in any type of inspirational way. And I'm not saying like you need to just start getting yellow cards and possibly red cards and playing dirty and doing things like that. But the simple Sebastian Berhalter gets subbed in and takes that shot at the end of the game and tries to pump the crowd up. And the crowd was looking for anything to get into the game at that point. And I know I'm bouncing all around, but it was just depressing the entire 90 minutes. There was 60 seconds where we got the Malik Tillman goal, which, I mean, I screamed. It was magic. It felt like this could be the turning point. We hadn't had much going on, and the guy did it again. I mean, the guy's a free kick, master at this point.
World class,
And
world
yes,
class free kick.
and even if it hits that guy's head, it's knuckling before it hits that guy's head. And the goalie has no idea what's going to happen. And yes, obviously the fact that it nicked off the guy's head helped. But I mean, based off his prior good shots and based off the fact that the goalie could see that ball knuckling right off the bat, that was a good goal. There was no, that he should sleep well at night knowing that he aced that shot too. Anyways, there was about 60 seconds between that goal and then when Belgium scored their second goal to go up 2-1, where it felt like maybe we had a chance. And so that was 60 seconds of a 100+ minute game that felt like we competed. Oh, I just general thoughts before we get into any of the specifics on what happened yesterday.
I just really, it is sad because I actually didn't think we got totally pummeled. I know the stats kind of show it, but in terms of possession, it didn't look bad at here and there throughout the game. We just couldn't do what Senegal did, and I was saying this in the prior game analytics, that we want to do what Senegal did and just like press like we normally do, but it looked like once Belgium was able to kind of slow us down with a little bit of their possession, we kind of let off on that. And that's what I was kind of afraid of, that if we can't keep the energy that Senegal had, that something like this could happen and give them a lot of opportunities. But yeah, it was tough. Our defense was just not able to really cut off any of the runs that they were making, and it just looked like they figured us out pretty quick.
So I had, you know, I think I had talked up the defense a little bit, but at the same time, if I looked through my game notes, all my game notes were mistake by the center backs, goal, mistake by the center backs, goal, mistake by the center backs, goal. And sure as heck, what happened today? Mistakes by Richards, mistakes by Ream, goal, goal. And yeah, neither of them, I would assume, Ream's obviously too old. He's done. I guess I don't see how Richards comes back from this. Maybe he has a chance. I know age-wise he has a chance, but I would pretty much scrap the back line at this point outside of Robinson. And that includes Freeman. I don't know. Maybe. I would I mean, in 2 years you'll have the Gold Cup, and I don't know if we even care about the Gold Cup. We'll talk about that at the end. I don't want to talk about the Gold Cup right now. But essentially
Too
that's what I'm
soon.
talking about is who's going to be on the team in 2 years, and I don't think either of those center backs are going to be on the team in 2 years.
I think that's a little harsh. I think Reem definitely was old, and I did say he does not look like he has the speed to keep up with a lot of these other teams with pace. And we had to communicate if he was gonna play. We had to communicate and be able to swap around. Um, I don't want to dog on. I don't think it was that bad for the rest of the defensive line. I know we let in 4 goals, but that's more of a team display. When it comes down to it.
I like Freeman. I could see a world where Freeman slides into the center as he gets a little bit older.
Mm.
He's not as technical as maybe some of these outside backs could be, but he's big, strong, wins tackles. I could see. I like Freeman still. He's so young. I could see him sliding into the center maybe. But either way, to the midfield. So there was one play. I think it's like in the 53rd minute. I have it in my notes here, but I'm not even going to look it up because I stopped taking notes after this play right here specifically. Tyler Adams plays that ball. It's a long ball, about 40 yards floated in the air to Alex Freeman going down the right side.
Yep,
And Freeman just has an awful touch and he misses it.
I remember
And
that.
you go to Tyler, the camera goes to Tyler Adams, and he's sitting there and he's doing one of these with his palms up, looking at Alex Freeman. Like, that is that is the opposite of leadership. Like, this is coming from, the Lions are local to me, used to be local to you. Ben Johnson has a rule, who's now the coach of the Bears, no hands up. You can't do this. Like, literally, this, you can't do this. It's not something you can do in practice, on the field, in life. Like, dude, that's not that there's nothing good that comes from that. And I was blown away. I guess I didn't realize that Adams was that kind of guy. I mean, I'm totally judging him, and I've totally lost all respect for him at this point. Like, I'm good on Adams now after seeing that moment. Like, this is the World Cup. At that point, I think it was 2-1, maybe it was 3-1. Like, no, it was. I think it was 2-1 still at that
Two
point.
one at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, and he does that, and I'm like, dude, we're in this game. Like, what are you talking? Like, we could have just put Berhalter in at that point. Like, I'll take the try hard. I'll take the try hard over the skill at that point, because that's clearly, and it was just sad to see that you got to have a coach's kid in at the end of the game. Like literally, I know he's playing on the World Cup team. He deserves to be on the team. Like, he actually played real minutes, but even the announcers said it. It's like, well, you might as well just put Berhalter in. Like, at least he's going to give you real effort. Like, it was just like wild that they knew that. Like, and I couldn't just that. And it's not like effort in the fact that they weren't like physically running, they were out there trying. It was more of the fact that, I mean, I don't want to say the moment was too big, but they were a little bit nervous. Like, they were a little bit slow. They were not as clean and crisp in their decision making, and you could see in the way that we moved the ball around the back, and every time I got in the midfield, we're taking 2-3 touches where I know this is your thing, it needs to be 1 or 2, and we were not doing that at all.
Yeah.
Everything was extra touch here, extra touch there, slow movement here, slow movement there.
And
We were lied to. We were lied to.
and that pan of Tyler Adams really did hurt. I think a lot of people felt that because you watch every other team, anytime it's just a good ball, you just give him one of these, like, good try, or Freeman would turn back and he would give thumbs up and compliment it. You see that all over. Spain was doing it. Portugal, everyone was doing it.
It's a
Yeah,
hard
that
ball too. Like, I agree. I agree. He should have got a much better touch than he did. Should he have settled it and scored? Maybe, but that'd be tough. Like, that would be a world class
Yeah, I was
goal.
gonna say I don't think he had anyone really trailing to really give him much opportunity there
No,
either. So
no,
it
he
was
would
like
have had to.
he would have had to do it
Yeah,
himself, and it would have been
yeah.
tough. But
You're asking him to be a young Cristiano at that point, and it
now
did not. Yeah, go
I
for
don't
it.
think we could go much further without bringing this up. Uh, I don't think I've seen almost ever 2 people do it, but I don't even think it's been a while since I even seen one person do it where they just blatantly missed the ball and kicked the ground. I thought the Pulisic one might have been a foul, but clearly it wasn't. He just jammed his foot into the ground, and and then the keeper on that, like, just straight up he Young Oku'd it. He Young Oku'd it. That meme is everywhere right now. He straight up Young Oku'd that and literally dug 10 feet into the ground with his foot, and I'm like, Were they that tired? Like, were their legs giving out, or like what was up with those?
So I'll take them one at a time. The goalie one will be quicker and easier. I haven't said anything about Freeze. We've been trying to find good things to say about him, and it's one of those where he just hasn't played in big games. I don't know. That was a world-class mistake. I mean, there's nothing, every now and then this will happen to professional goalies in hockey and soccer, wherever, just one just like literally slides by, and of course it happens in the round of 16 of the World Cup for us, and honestly he's lucky that the game got out of hand the way it did, because that one's not going to stick out like it could have
I
in
mean, but
some
that
of
was the
the.
third goal, so it was still 2-1 at that point. So
I
that's
know.
that's kind of the one that really, like, I think killed a lot of the momentum. I think there were a couple chances even then before then that we were kind of hoping to get off of, but that one, I think everyone was just like, "Oh, it's just not our day."
Oh yeah, no, it was over at that point. At that point it was 100% over. um well, I guess. So the goals, the first two, like I said, center back's fault. Ream just got beat on the header on the one, and then yeah, he kind of gets nutmegged on the second shot. Going back post it where the guy gets to it. But that's tough in real time.
Yeah,
That's he's just trying to
those are
make a
tough.
play. That one, but yeah, that one was tough. Um, there was we had the one positive swing where, if you remember, the Belgium guy gets hurt, goes off. We're playing
Hmm.
that power play, and then the Belgian guy fakes an injury to get his player back on the field, which is what you do. Like it's a weird thing in soccer, but that's just the sad truth is that whole sequence was pretty normal. But it brought the crowd alive for a second. And in my notes, I'm like, maybe this will do something for us, because it's a little bit of us against the world at that point. It's like, but there was just nothing that we could do to get the energy and get the momentum on our side ever throughout
Hmm.
this whole game. And we've really gone through my crappy notes. I mean, I started off by saying the crowd was good at the beginning. I mean, we got silenced pretty much right off the bat, but we tried to get back into it. The crowd tried; they were good, for what they had to cheer for, I guess. And the only other note I had is this looks a lot better in hindsight, but I said it at the time. I actually would have taken Christian out at halftime and not Dest. So we were gonna give Rainier a chance. That seemed like the strategy, and honestly, I'm whatever. I'm okay with that. Like Rainier is very talented, and he's probably, I'm not gonna be his parents in like the first World Cup and sit here and complain that he didn't get enough playing time. But like, there's a world where maybe Rainier could have got a little bit more playing time during this World Cup. Like, he is an extremely talented player. Whenever he just makes a pass or touches the ball, it looks just flamboyant in a good way. Like, it just everything he does is very South American, European, just with flair. But anyways, if he's going to come into the game, there's only two spots he plays with the formation that we have, and it would either be Christians or Dest, because he's not really going to play that Flo Balogun role, because he's just not that big. And Flo tries to play. We're going to talk about Norway here in a second, like Halan, and that guy is just absolutely amazing. Like, I hadn't watched him like that for a couple games in a row. Like, I don't know what Flo's future is. Like, it's probably, I would imagine we'll see him again in 4 years. Like, there's a good chance that if he stays healthy, and we might see Flo again. I mean, just study Halan's tape. I mean, that's kind of what he would want his game to be, right? Because I think you see the stats where Halan barely touches the ball, but he essentially scores every time he touches the
Yep,
ball. That's
that's what
kind of
we
what
need.
Flo was doing a little bit.
And
Well, he scored a lot. But in the fact that also his whole role in the offense is to just be a threat without the ball. And that's kind of the same with Halan, where he doesn't touch the ball. Like I said, I watched that whole Norway Brazil
see.
game.
Mhm.
He can't. I think they said he had like 16, 20 touches, but Halan actually. We're gonna get to this game in a little bit, but he actually comes back and takes a random 10 touches in the middle of the field in the middle of the game, and just to touch the ball at one point. And I'm like, well, are they counting those 10? Because he didn't go anywhere of those 10 touches. But anyways, um, yeah, obviously I'm not comparing Flo to Halan, but they just play a similar position in the formation. So I'm saying,
I
and Rainier would not play that. And so all I was saying is I would have taken Christian out. I liked the way Dest was playing more. Christian had the slight injury. He wasn't doing anything. I would have put Rainier there, but whatever. It wouldn't have changed anything.
No, see, well, I agree that Des should have stayed. I don't, and whether it's Christian or whatever, and I my problem was a lot with flow this game, and I think I even said I would have preferred Reina to actually start this game if there was someone to play, and if he was going to come in, I think that's the spot he go. I actually wish part of me when this game started, especially with how we would have been viewed with like a lose-lose situation, I thought maybe we just don't start flow. Um, I think that would have been a good coaching decision especially since the other team knowing we're going to play him and play that same style with him. I don't think they really guarded him much, knowing the way he plays. He's very standstill. He almost plays like a Cristiano Ronaldo style where he's not moving. That's why Portugal lost too. Cristiano maybe moved 100 yards that game, and it was literally one step to the right, one step to the left, and only making his routes when the ball's going to the corner. He barely made routes and came through and tried to find those inside seams that we were talking about before this. And Balogun's too standstill. I like Holland, and I do agree if he could play like how that'd be great. I mean, he's got the size for it. But
Yeah.
he doesn't have that mentality where he's going for that position to score all the time. Holland's actively moving down the defensive line, and he's looking for that opening where if anything, I mean, obviously Cristiano's a name you would always want to be, mentioned with,
We've
but
just named two all-time greats.
we also just watched Portugal really struggle to make any real moves against the Spain team, who looked like they weren't even doing that well. So like that was a very winnable game for Portugal, and they just couldn't find any shots, and which is what you need from a striker, and that's where I kind of had my issues. Reina looks like when he's out there, he's at least trying to create at the very least. So yes, I don't think he's quite that Balogun scorer, but he could at least create for us. And he's shown in the group stage game, he'll rip every once in a while with that Lavela, the upper 90.
Oh, yeah, that one. So, okay, the last thing I wanted to hit on this game was I had been lamenting over and over that I thought we were building some stars on this team, and I'm not sure how much that is the case anymore. And I would actually say the one star we have on this team coming out of this whole World Cup is probably Pochettino at this point. I would say keeping him, retaining him as the coach is an absolute must. If he leaves, we're back to square one, in my opinion. Like we could come back the next World Cup without Christian, even without Dest, with like younger guys, different guys. It, not that I want that to happen, but if we come back without Pochettino, I mean, I don't know. Like we need this guy. This is the best it's looked formation wise, just like it's funny. I know he's talking with broken English out there, but just even the way he is doing those press conferences, like it works for me. And at that level, he feels like a guy that could coach a team full of actual stars. If this was the NBA, he feels like one of those coaches that could just handle the stars. Um, and I desperately want to keep him around. What do you think about Coach?
Yeah, I actually liked everything from him so far as well. I just don't know how much of the politics go into it behind the scene. I don't know if there's any on him versus, if it's like a bigger board that's making some of these decisions on who gets to be on the team and should be on the team and who has to start.
That's a good question.
I almost wish that if he, I would have given him a way more credit if it looked like there was some research on these other teams and there was some, you know, a little bit of either you see it on the field or you see it in player swaps, substitutions, or you see it in pre-games, who's the starting 11, I would have loved to see a little bit of switch up in that. And, like we said, Tim Ream clearly was a little bit of an issue this game. And if we know some of that team is fast, then they're going to do that inside. They had really quick short pass movement in the top of the 18, and Tim Ream would get lost in those situations. And I don't know, it's like your players, so either you got to make the call or I don't know who's able to make that call, but I think something had to happen.
Okay. We've beat this game to death. Are you ready? Can we talk about a couple of the other games that happened? So the
Let's
round of 16 is
please.
over. Yes. Okay. So the round of 16 ended today. We just got done watching the Switzerland Colombia penalty shootout. first 0-0 game in a while. I'm sure there was a couple in group play, but there haven't, or was there one in the round of 32 even? I don't think so. We haven't had one of those because that's the classic why people don't like to watch soccer is, oh, it's just going to be a 0-0 game. We're going to go to penalties after 120 minutes. Well, that one kind of was that actually. So, um, but I'm surprised I spent so much time talking about that. Let's go to the teams that we picked about 4 or 5 episodes ago when we started this whole thing of the teams we thought were our favorites and how we're doing so far. So my first one was France, and they are probably the favorite, right? I know you didn't pick them, so you're probably going to hesitate to agree with me, but like
I would
they
say
gotta
they're
be the
still
favorite, right?
they're still the favorite.
Yeah.
If not, I think Spain might have came up a little bit on that rating. Like I think they were 3-4 ish around there. They might be up at that 2-1 spot now, especially with how Argentina's performed against Cape Verde and Egypt today. Not to say that they didn't win and they didn't do it in pretty fun fashion, but nonetheless, those were some of the lower ranked teams, and they did have a pretty easy, like they had a lighter path to get to the, I believe even to the semifinals. Like they have a pretty smooth path outside of
Oh, yeah.
playing.
hmm
I think semifinals they run into Spain, right? I think that's where they would have their first
Well,
real
so then
competition.
let's get into it then. So your team Morocco is who they're playing next, and so Morocco beat
France.
Canada 3-0.
Yep.
It is France, yeah. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
you're talking Spain, Belgium. So yeah, so that would be exactly that would be the semi, as if that would be yeah France Spain. So yeah though. So France, Morocco, Spain, Belgium. So Morocco was one of your teams, correct?
Hell yeah.
So they're obviously the underdog, but not by much at this point. Once you get into the quarterfinal round, I mean, nobody's really an underdog. I would say Switzerland is the only one looking at this slate of games that's probably an underdog. You like what you've seen from your Moroccans so far?
I do. They play really hard. They're one of those teams that like they're not playing for a draw most of the time. So like they're fun to
Oh,
watch at the very least. I hope they keep that same energy and that same momentum up against a tough team like France. But yes, they are the underdogs, but I don't know. I like their chances. I even put a couple, not advocating for sports betting here, but
Oh no, we can. No,
oh,
no, no. We're trying to get sponsored by those books. Are you out of your mind?
oh well.
You're in
Actually,
California.
technically,
You
I'm
have
not
this.
sports betting. I am predictive market gambling. Kalshi, I'm here for you.
It's funny as somebody like so I understand that and I understand that there's I guess a market for that. But as somebody who's been in a state where sports betting has been legal for quite some time now, like
Yeah.
it's hilarious when you talk about these things. Like it's like all these like, it's like pot sports betting. Like I'm shocked when I go to a place and these things aren't legal anymore. Like I thought but that's how it was. Okay. So Spain, Portugal, Spain is getting the reputation of being boring. And I know they've kind of always had this where they play really a clean style. They like to have the ball. They like to defend cleanly. They don't like to get out of position in any way. But man, these games are boring. They're stacking on these 1-0, 1-0. I guess they scored 3 versus Austria, but
I mean, like,
I know I picked Spain, but to me, they're boring.
well, all right. Well, they haven't let in a goal all World Cup, so there's one thing.
So that's why they're
They
boring.
play really defensive, but I'm not gonna lie. They actually play really creative up front. They just don't have a finisher. They
Mhm.
put up great combo passes at the top of the 18. They get to the corners. They can get the crosses in. They just don't have a Holland or a Messi or like a Mbappe that can put the ball in the back of the net. And so when you look at all their games, like you look at the scores, it's just everybody. Everybody's getting one goal. So it's like it's crazy. But I actually think that might be to their benefit. Like they're hard that they're a hard team to really just focus on one specific player. You just have to have a really overall great game as a team, which Portugal just couldn't do that day.
Okay. So then we've said his name multiple times now, but I actually am most excited for the Norway-England game of all these quarterfinal games, basically because I cannot take my eyes off Haaland when he's on the field. I watched that entire Brazil game. I haven't watched a lot of games beginning to end. I pop in and out of some of them.
Are you
But
saying that because
I,
you think he should be under a bridge collecting tolls, or like why?
he he lumbers out there. He absolutely is a lumbering oaf that, to your point, he's always in the right spot and then he turns it on right when he needs to. He knows exactly when to go from 0 to 100, which he's really good at that. And that's like his thing, is that he's just out there playing very casually. Like I was saying, that's why I was comparing it to Flo a little bit, but it's probably Flo's just not effective, and Halan is just being in strategy. So I get the difference. But when he touches the ball, it's like he turns into Thor. Like he goes from this lumbering oaf to Thor, and the header was just clean for the first goal, and then the shot. It was just like the minute he touched the ball, you're like, well, this is inevitable. Like this is gonna go in,
Like a
and then of
triple
course, bam,
nutmeg.
side net, yeah, like side netting, triple nutmeg, no problem, video game-esque finish. Um, he's my favorite player to watch, hands down at this point, and he barely touches the ball. I don't know what it is about him, but I am completely intrigued.
And what's crazy is like there's so many goals scored by like him, Mbappe. I think Harry Kane's up there too with he's got 5 or 6 goals, and we got Messi with 8 now. It's just I love that all these top goal scorers are just putting on a clinical showcase out there.
Okay, so I've given you a lot of crap for not starting the show with Messi over and over
I
again, and
wasn't
I know
planning
we
on it even
mentioned
if
it.
I knew.
And I know we mentioned it a little bit, but you just hit it there. So the Golden Boot race is like none other. This is the probably, I don't have the history in front of me. I'm assuming this is the most star-studded Golden Boot race we've had in the World Cup in quite some time. With Mbappe, Messi, like you said, Kane was just low. Kane's in fourth place, but who am I missing? Was Haaland? Yeah, so Haaland, Mbappe, and Messi. Like these are, you could argue those are the three best players in the world, and they are absolutely playing like it and scoring like it. And this just doesn't happen like this all the time, and it just makes it that much more fun when the people that are making these amazing plays, and when it's stars like this. It sucks that the U.S. is out of this tournament because I'm going to lose a little interest, and it's been really good.
Yeah, I would say that I know I'm gonna bash on the VAR and whatever some of the rules that have been implemented, but this has definitely been, my opinion, probably the most exciting World Cup I've seen in my lifetime. Just in terms of the matchups, the goals. I don't know if it's the talent that's getting better or what it is, or if it's the rule changes, but this has been a very exciting World Cup to watch.
Okay, so let's just end on the Egypt game that we just watched today. So Egypt is up 1-0, and let's get into the details of this VAR decision. And I just want to piss you off before we end. So they, so Egypt scores their second goal, and there's a player down for Argentina about 95 yards on the other side of the field.
Literally the other corner of the goal.
Literally the other corner of where the goal scored. Now, the rule is, when you're going to review a foul, you wait until the next dead ball, essentially, right? And so it just so happened that the next dead ball was after Egypt had scored their second goal, and they go to VAR, and man, that, to your point, that's a tough one. I'm not the czar of the soccer rules, and I don't know them like I know some of the other sports, but I could see where Egypt's coaching staff absolutely lost their mind, and the referee had to about give red cards to the entire staff. Like he about threw the entire staff by the time the game was over. Because anytime after that an Egypt player got touched, they're screaming because, well, you called it over there. Why aren't you calling it over here? It's the classic coach to referee, lingo. It was tough to watch after that. But then at the same time, Argentina is just magical. And it was inevitable, and Messi was all over it. And I don't know what you do with something like that, because like, is it fraudulent? I don't know, but my gosh, it was entertaining. That's
Well,
for darn sure.
let me say this though. Oh, one, on Messi's part, I think Messi was actually getting really frustrated in this game. he actually didn't turn it on until his coach told him to shut up and stop complaining. I don't know if you saw that interaction, but he walks up to the ref and he's like complaining about something, and the coach is just like, dude, like stop, go play your game. And then he like clicked, and I think that's when the first assist came and everything was just started dropping. But back to the VAR though. What I hate is, okay, maybe it was a foul. When I look at the replay, it was a little weak, but I'm not gonna say it wasn't a foul. Okay, it was a good 30 seconds after the play. Like the guy was able to go down the entire field, and this might have been one of the greatest goals, like sequence of plays, like I've seen from a team.
Coast to coast.
He double nutmegged a guy down the sideline, gets the ball off. Beautiful touch and a beautiful finish. Like it looks so good. And to steal that of them. And not only that though, Argentina's first goal, it was the same exact thing. I think it was Salah inside the box dribbling. He got touched up. I don't know if it was as bad or necessarily or worse or anything like that, but he definitely got pushed. He definitely falls to the ground, and then they go down the field and score on transition. Why is that not VAR'd? I don't understand. At the very least, look at it, but they didn't even look at it.
Well, so that's the one that it wasn't the head coach for Egypt, but somebody on the bench got a red card after that. That was the one where it was somebody was absolutely losing their mind. And I'll say, I don't think that one was a foul, and I probably don't think either one was a foul. But yeah, that was an entertaining. I'll say this: if you miss the game, it is 100% worth your time to watch the second half of this Argentina-Egypt game. You will be entertained. I guarantee you that. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, that game was phenomenal to watch, though. Great comeback. I mean, it's the resilience in Argentina is obviously there, and they're very talented and entertaining to watch. Even in the Cape Verde game, they had that comeback there as well. So it's not like we didn't know Egypt was getting tired and this could happen, but just the way it happened is what sucks. And like, I mean, even if you don't do that VAR reversal, it's still a 3-3 game, goes into overtime. Argentina probably will win anyways, but that would have been a way cooler story to me than having this almost be decided by VAR. That's what hurts. And to not even have the same consistency in the exact same game, not from different games, it's the same exact game, same play. Goals happened. One had a VAR, one didn't, and I think that's why the coach towards the end of the game got his yellow, because he was throwing up the racism sign, and that's where the ref is supposed to come decide if there was racism involved or not and pause the game. But
I guess you're talking about the X?
Yes. So the X is a universal rule in soccer where it's the sign for racism. Let's pause the game.
So the coach was, I guess I thought the coach was giving the ref the X. Did I see that wrong? He thought that something was happening out there?
Well, he's claiming this is racism, it's rigged, like you guys are clearly favoring Argentina, so let's pause the game and have someone review this. That's what he's claiming.
The whole game. Okay, I guess. He's reversing it. I got it.
But he threw that up right after that second incident where it should have been VAR'd and it was the same exact situation, and he just didn't like that, which because that basically iced the game, and it's tough.
Okay. The only game we didn't really just talk about there was that England-Mexico game, and that one was awesome too. I mean, Harry Kane's gonna have another chance to headline our show, so we'll get to him again. But either way, what do you say? You think we keep this going for another week or two? I think I'm interested enough in these games where I think we keep this going. And how about we do another show next Monday after these quarterfinal round?
Yeah. I don't see why not. At this point, I think people are very invested in this World Cup. I've had more people talk to me about the World Cup this year than any prior World Cup, so I think there is a lot of interest. So I don't know if it's hosted. I don't know if it's because it's hosted here or not, but
then we're gonna keep it rolling then. Thank you, everybody, for listening to Stars, Stripes, and Stress. Please subscribe, rate, review, right? I think that's how you're supposed to say it. I think I got it right there.
Follow.
Something like that. Comment, follow on everything. Thanks for listening, everybody. Good night.
Thanks all. Bye.
Adios.